Welcome back to another episode of Simplyrobotix, the podcast. This podcast is being sponsored by Autodesk. Now, in this episode, we are going to talk with Matt Acuna, who's a production coordinator on a TV series that has been on for quite some time. They're in their 12th season right now. And we're going to talk about his passion and how he's pursuing his dream of becoming an animation writer. So if this sounds like it could be of interest to you, you'll definitely want to keep watching. Thank you for joining me, Matt. I am so happy to have you. And I'm even happier that I saw your tweet. I just got it up. I'm going to make sure I include the screenshot for those that are listening. And you tweeted on February 2nd, 2022, just saying if anybody ever wanted to have me on a podcast to talk about animation, production, writing, the Muppets, I wouldn't say no. And I was so happy. I caught it and I was like, I'm doing this. And I was like, I'd love to have you on my show. And then I was like, okay, so who did I just say this to? Right. And then I went to your page and saw that you are a production coordinator on Bob's Burgers. And I basically fainted. And then when I was brought back to life, seeing that like you're a writer, and I mean, I have a friend that's trying to break into writing. I've had her on the show a couple times. Her name is Jen Hurler. Mm-hmm. But I haven't had, I feel like person like you on. And then also someone that's connected to Bob's Burgers. So I'm really, really excited about this in our conversation. Yeah. So just for starters, for the listeners, can you just share a little bit about where you're from and where you're currently residing, like if you're in LA?
Sure, yeah.
Or California?
Well, first off, I didn't think anyone would respond to my tweet, so thank you for doing that. I didn't expect it, so thanks. Yeah, so I am from Maryland originally. I'm from Damascus, Maryland, very small town in the middle of nowhere. I just tell people I'm from Baltimore because that's what people know. Okay. Because I'm really close to Baltimore and DC. But currently I live in Burbank, California, Animation Hub Central. So I actually drove out here from Maryland with my roommate.
Wow, cross country.
Yeah, it took about a week. And we stopped at the Grand Canyon. We stopped in Vegas, which was not as fun as I thought it would be.
Oh, dang.
It was a pretty awesome journey. I don't know if I'd do it again.
And what year did you make the move?
2018.
Okay. Did you go to school for like animation or writing or anything, film school, art school?
I did go to a small liberal arts school. They had a film program, which I majored throughout. And I like to say I majored in screenwriting for film, but I really just took the only two classes that they offer, which weren't very extensive. But I made a lot of good contacts, made a lot of good friends, and I learned a lot. And through that school, I was able to partner with a bigger school in Philadelphia and do an internship in LA for a summer. Okay. So I came out here, did a live action. It was like a production company, talent agency, and a script company that read a lot of scripts, and I interned for them. It was a good experience. It made me realize I don't want to work in live action though.
Oh, that happens. So what would you say it was like going to a smaller school and then being in the industry where some of your peers come from like these, well-known, established, competitive schools? Like, did you ever feel a bit of like imposter syndrome?
A little bit. I felt like, like I hear people say like, oh, I went to Cal Arts, I went to RISD, SCAD. And it's kind of just like, oh, I went to this school nobody's ever heard of that's like in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. Which in a way, like, I guess like it's, I can just bypass that part of the conversation, just get to talking about what I'm passionate about. But it is weird when talking to people like that. But I don't really regret it 100%. Like I really liked the school I went to. It was really pretty. Like it was gorgeous campus, very tiny. You got to know people really well because of how small it was. My film department was like 12 people. So I knew them all pretty well. So it made for a good like little sense of community.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's also like important for some listeners and viewers to hear. Like
Hmm.
it's okay if you don't go to these type of schools. Like I always am a bit advocate for like you don't need the student loan debt cuz
Oh
like
yeah.
mine is disgusting and I have no intentions of paying that off and y'all could do whatever.
I mean,
Y'all will get the
mine's
bare
pretty bad too.
minimum to like keep you away, but like it is what it is at this point. So if I can, tell people if you don't have to, which I don't feel like you do it. But just to also hear stories of people working in the industry that don't go to those type of schools is important too.
Oh
So
yeah.
what was your first job like ever versus your first job in the industry?
My first job ever was at a grocery store. It's an East Coast chain. I'm sure you know about. It's called Safeway.
Uh-huh.
Over here, it's Vaughn's. It's the same chain. But I was a courtesy clerk, so I just gathered carts and bagged stuff and did whatever they told me to do, and hated my life. But it was fun. I mean, like fun just because I was in high school still, and all my friends worked there too. So
Mhm.
we just kind of like didn't really work. We just hung out. But now my first job in the industry was that internship I mentioned earlier. But I guess animation wise, I interned at this very small development company called Glow in the Dark Concept Studio. It's a very small studio, like 3 people.
Oh wow.
But they buy pitches from people and help them develop it so it could be brought to a major studio like Nickelodeon or Disney, similar like Frederator. That was a really great experience because since it's such a small studio, kind of like my college, you got that really good sense of getting to know each other, really good community. And they were some like my best mentors for the industry. So I learned so much there and would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's great. And would you say from that opportunity you learned so much because it was so small, you had to do so many different things?
Yeah. I got to really get out of my comfort zone. I helped out with like, graphic design here and there. I would help out with like development, I put on so many different hats at that internship. So it was really cool to like get a different sense of each different kind of step and stuff that I wouldn't normally do. It was also really cool because they had us do a project at the start of our internship, like pick something that you want to work on throughout your entire internship. Like you could like be like, oh, I want to develop my pitch so it's ready for studios. Oh, I want to make a webcomic or I want to do this. And they would set time apart each day to help you reach that goal.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
it was super cool.
Yeah.
So really, really happy that was where I interned for animation.
So now we fast forward to present day. What are you currently doing? So I guess in your 9 to 5 and then after your 5 to 9.
Yeah. So currently for like my day job and all that, I'm a production coordinator, digital production coordinator on Bob's Burgers at Bento Box. So digital production coordinator, I noticed a lot of studios don't have this title. It's kind of like a different title per studio, but for Bento Box, digital coordinators are the ones that are shipping everything overseas. We are, creating the animatic links, the thematics, piecing together the storyboard files to get things ready for review for the directors and the supervisors to review. Just a lot of that, a lot of technical stuff, and helping out in harmony on the retakes with our other departments. It's kind of like jack of all trades production job, essentially.
What do you have like some high moments from production? Because I also work in production and it can seem sometimes that it's like a pretty thankless job or space to be in. I am
Yeah.
like, get production in the union everywhere. And I don't know if I should
Oh
be
yeah.
saying that, but
No, I fully 100% support that.
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Production's really draining.
Hmm.
It's super draining. It's not a field I want to stay in, to be honest.
Right.
It's
Honesty is appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the job for I'm in the industry because I got this job. It's my first role. I mean, I was a PA first and moved up,
Hmm.
but it's my first animation studio job, and I'm gonna be forever like thankful that I'm in the studio because of it. But it's something that I just don't see people being able to do for long periods of time because of how much burnout there is in it. Because
Yeah.
you are the first one there, the last one to leave. There's so much overtime, so many different tasks you have to do that aren't really your job all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's it's hard to say no because you're not in a union. You're not someone that's protected. You're at will essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of problems there. I'm happy to be where I am, but I'm at the point where I'm ready to move on
Yeah.
to other things I want to do in the industry.
So can you also just talk a bit about the writing aspect of what you're passionate about?
Sure, yeah. So I want to be a writer for animation. That's always been my dream, always been my goal. Because I'm just drawn to animation so much more than live action. I would never turn up a live action writing gig, of course, but animation is really my passion. Just with the stories you can tell, the people you can reach with it, the medium, 11-minute structures. It's great. So I currently am looking for script coordinator work, which is still production, but closer to writing.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm really hoping to get some freelance or staffed writing gigs soon. So mainly I write fantasy adventure for kids 6 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main focus right now. Shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Steven Universe, Infinity Train, they inspire me to write what I'm currently writing. And those are the kind of shows that I really want to be on.
I see. I see. You definitely want to see you there. I look forward to like seeing your name in the credits and be like, I know him.
Here's hoping.
So again, because I'm like a Bob's Burgers like fanatic, is there any like interesting facts or like funny moments that you can share with us about, what working on the show has been like? If it's like, I don't know how much access you have to things, but I
I
don't
definitely
know,
know things.
directors, are the directors different per episode? That's something I should pay more attention to. But like, yeah, if there's just anything.
Yeah, I mean, we have different directors per episode. Like we have like about 5 or 6 directors, and they just split up the episodes per season, take them all on. I mean, we have one supervising director who's in charge of every episode, and I'm sure that's very tough. But it's because Bob's Burgers has been on the air for so long. Like we're in our 12th season.
Yeah.
It's super well-oiled machine. Like they know what they're doing. Compared to like a lot of newer shows that are like, first season, it's a way more rough production because they don't have the groundwork. They don't have all those things set in place to keep them going like Bob's does. So I guess I've been really lucky to experience Bob's as my first job because of how streamlined everything is. But Bob's it's been a really good show to be on. Whenever we were in person before COVID hit, I got to meet some of the voice actors. That's
Oh,
cool.
that is cool.
Yeah, I met Kristen Shaw. She's super nice.
Yeah.
Dan Mintz, he's a very nice guy. He's kind of like Tina in real life. And who else did I meet? Oh, John Roberts, voice of Linda. Very nice
Cool.
guy.
Yeah.
But a lot of the voice actors are in New York, not in LA. So we actually Zoom them in for their recordings. So like H. John Benjamin, the voice of Bob, he has to literally phone in his lines.
Oh, wow.
Same with Teddy, Larry Murphy, the voice of Teddy. He's in New York as well. So the cast is kind of split up. Actually, John Roberts is in New York too. He was just in LA for a little bit. That's when I met him.
That is interesting because in my experience, the actors have always been in LA. So we were doing it the reverse. Like we had to, dial them in from out there. That would have been interesting to like have a bit more experience with actual talent, like physically, there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the interview part. So we're gonna move on over to some of your favorite content things.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
So I'm trying to think where I want to start. I want to start with The Secret of Nim. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah. Secret of
You
Nim.
don't say the H. For anybody who may not have watched the movie, can you just, recap it maybe in like 2 sentences?
Sure. It's about a widowed mouse who's trying to care for her children, and there's like a big farming machine coming to kind of destroy their hometown, and she's going to these rats, the rats of Nim, which are highly intelligent rats because they were experimented on, for help because her husband was a part of them. I hope I explained it right. I haven't seen it in a couple years.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I started to watch it last night, and then I was like, I think I saw this, so I don't need to rewatch it. And then I kind of felt like I wasn't in the mood for some of that. But why is it one of your favorite films?
In elementary school, we had to read the book. It was actually, I think the book came after the movie. I'm not really sure, but we had to read the book, and I was like, "This is dumb." And then we watched the movie, and immediately I was like, "Wait, never mind. I take it back. This is awesome." Because I'm really into small creatures going on adventures. Like I just love that. I just love the sense of scale of like a very small being or creature just having to go like against this like massive threat that to us is normal.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm writing now. My main story is about bugs.
I was thinking like, so Don Bluth is kind of like your guy.
He definitely has made a lot of my favorite stuff. I haven't seen all of his films, to be honest, but he's a major influence for sure.
Okay. And do you have a memorable moment from Secret of Nim?
Definitely when she meets Nicodemus, who's like the oldest rat of Nim. He's got these glowing eyes, and he looks so like otherworldly. Like it was almost terrifying, but like it's such like a cool moment because you see what these rats have like become because of the experimentation. Like he's like almost immortal now. He's like so human like.
Yeah.
It's just a really powerful moment for me.
And I guess keeping on the rodent tangent, you have Ratatouille.
Yeah, I'm on a rat kick, you know.
Why Ratatouille?
It's my favorite Pixar movie.
Okay.
I love it so much because it's adult without being adult. Like it tackles really mature themes. It's not afraid to talk about alcohol. If there's wine, they say minor curses, which I think it's like interesting that like Disney allowed it because it wasn't going to be a Disney movie. It was going to be the first Pixar movie to not be made by Disney until Disney bought them. So, but then they decided not to change anything. I just really like, again, a small creature going up against big odds. It encompasses all of what I enjoy in movies. And the message at the end from the critic is one of my favorite speeches like of all time.
So would you say that's one of your memorable moments of the speech by the critic?
Absolutely. It's such a good speech that can be like, it can be like attributed to like any form of like critiquing media, like not just food, like animation or video games or movies. Like it's a universal quote for me.
Okay. So kind of still keeping, I mean, now that you said like the type of stories that you like, this next film, The Cat Returns, makes some sense to me. So I saw it for the first time last night.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, are you supposed to be under an influence watching this or like what?
It's
like
bizarre. It is so bizarre.
Yeah, and it was reminding me a little bit of The Cats, like the movie that was based off of the stage play.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like almost that level of trippiness. It's like accept the fact that like you don't understand what's happening and then you can enjoy the film. Like you know?
Like they start out like such like normal looking cats, and then like as she goes further in the world, like it just gets like the cats are acting more inhuman, and like it just gets so trippy and bizarre, like you said.
Yeah. So that I'm gonna rightfully so assume a good chunk of whoever listens to my show has no idea what The Cat Returns is. Like Ratatouille is like easy. So can you in like 2 sentences, what's The Cat Returns about?
It's a Studio Ghibli film. Not made by Miyazaki, so no one cares about it. But it's about a girl who saves a cat from being killed by a car, and then the cat um, thanks her and is actually a prince of a cat kingdom, and all the cats try to like thank her to the nth degree, and eventually like, oh, you should come to the cat kingdom and marry the prince, and she doesn't want to, but she gets roped in anyways, and so this other cat who's like this like gentleman cat with a top hat comes to save her. It sounds so weird, but it's so fun.
It did definitely get fun. Again, once I said I just released the fact that like this is trippy, I
Yeah.
was able to have a pretty good time with it. Um, I mean, do you have a memorable moment?
Any scene that the Cat King is in.
Oh my
He's
gosh, he's crazy.
yeah, voiced by Tim Curry. How could you not love him? He's just insane. I just love how disgusting he is. Like he's just a disgusting cat.
There's a wild cat king, and I say wild like not like he's like rabid or something, but he also might as well be at some points. But like he's just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this, you know, it has barely been 24 hours since I've seen it. And I was like, is it something I'll watch again? I was like, I don't know. It might be something I watch just to like see someone else react to it. Not
That's
like,
kind of what I do now. I show my friends that haven't seen it, and I just like watch them the whole time.
Yeah.
I just bought They just like announced yesterday, like they're doing like a big old Studio Ghibli marathon in theaters, and they're showing Cat Returns for its 20th anniversary. So I bought the tickets like immediately.
Oh, dang. I mean, that's something to see on the big screen too.
Oh
But I
yeah.
also think like every year they kind of go through like a Ghibli week.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah,
totally
and then
do.
every couple months they'll put something like I saw Spirited Away in the fall on
Yeah,
the
they're
big
doing that
screen.
again this year.
Yeah, I love it. It's like I know I'm going to see the same movie like I already saw a bajillion times at home, but just seeing it
Yeah.
on the big screen, like how could you not, you know?
Yeah, it's a different experience. I mean, like I saw Spirited Away on the big screen in my film school,
Mm,
and it was like it's just so different just seeing on a massive screen in the dark compared to like your laptop in your living room. Like it's a lot of movies just have a completely different feel when
yeah,
you see it like that.
absolutely. So moving on now to some of your favorite shows. You mentioned Steven Universe, which is one that I have not completed. Shame on me.
It's all
Um,
good. There's a lot.
yeah, and I mean, I've shared this a little bit with like listeners and stuff, but I'm
Hmm.
watching it in Spanish, so it's taking me
Oh
even
wow.
longer, and I know I'm missing context because of the language.
Uh huh.
So whenever I finally finish in Spanish, I will rewatch it in English and like piece everything together. But I can say I'm still enjoying it for what it is. But
Hmm.
why is it one of your favorites?
It's one of my favorites just because I kind of fell out of Cartoon Network for a while in like high
Rightfully so.
school. Yeah, it just didn't do much for me. I mean, actually, I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up. Um, my dad blocked the channel in our house, and I was like, "Why?"
Oh.
He's like, "We have too many cartoons," and I was like, "I'll trade Disney Channel for it," and he was like, "No."
Dad was
I,
a bit of a hater. I'm sorry.
he was. So I would sneak over to my friends' houses to watch like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends or like Kids Next Door, and
Yeah.
I think that's what really like made me want to watch Cartoon Network was because it was like dangerous. I wasn't allowed to, and then
Mhm.
whenever I was allowed to, I was like, eh. But then college happened, and I was surrounded by people who were into live action. That's all they wanted to do, and so I kind of retreated into animation just to like really get back into what I really want to do. And I saw Steven Universe for the first time, and I fell in love with it. Like the first season really got me with how it was kind of episodic, but like there were little episodes here and there that like really pushed the story forward and like were bombshells, and like it really caught my attention of like that's a really interesting way of telling a story in a show.
Mm.
Because I feel like a lot of shows these days they don't want long running stories; they want episodic content. And so I thought it was like I almost felt like Rebecca Sugar was like going along with what they wanted, and then when they weren't looking, making it a bigger story.
That's
Which,
dope.
yeah, so I want to do that for any show I would make in the future. Just pull people along piece by piece.
Do you have a favorite character from Steven Universe?
Used to be Pearl, but now it's Peridot.
Okay.
Just love how manic and goblin like she is.
And as you mentioned earlier, you have Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I
Yep.
just want to, if anybody's new here, I did a episode with two friends, almost like a round table. It's episode 30, where we went over Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, because I watched it for the first time in 2020, because I was like, ain't
Mhm.
nothing else to do. Might as well watch
Might as
this
well.
show I didn't want to watch growing up. And I was like, I like had a little bit of resentment. I like wished I watched it when it came out, but I still watched it and I had a great time. So yeah, I
I'm
want to hear why it's your favorite.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I didn't watch it when it first came out, like when I was like 10 or whatever. I
Mm.
only watched it like later, like in early high school, when my friends were like, "You got to watch it," and it was like just on Netflix, like for the first time. So I finally watched it. And I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Why? What's wrong with me? Why didn't I watch it when I was a kid?"
Yeah.
It is just, it's a masterpiece of storytelling. It's 3 seasons, short and sweet to the point, doesn't waste your time, and it just tells such a compelling story that's like equal parts dramatic and equal parts funny. And I think that's just amazing how they were able to balance it so well.
Mm.
Because I laughed my ass off at that show, but it's also like it really makes me emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That show, it was good. I think I am rewatching it at some points. I end up putting it on and just like it's just good.
yeah,
How do you feel about them, like the Avatar Studios, and like, I don't know, trying to bring this back or something adjacent to this?
I usually am like, we don't really need these big cinematic universes, but this is a case where I'm like, I'm okay with this one. There's a lot of stories to tell. Like they have all of history. It doesn't have to just be about Aang. It can be about so many different avatars,
Yeah.
which I think is amazing. If anyone from Avatar Studios is listening, I'm looking for script coordinator work.
Yeah. I want
um,
Kiyoshi's story.
yeah, they wrote a novel about Kyoshi, and
Right. My friends told me.
that would be amazing to see adapted into like a animated series. I know they're making a movie. I've
Yes.
seen like job postings for it, so that's going to be amazing. I hope.
Yeah.
Um,
They have a lot that they really could work with, like you said, with past avatars, or if they wanted to do a new one or
yeah,
whatever. There's just so much to work with. Yeah. Do you
definitely.
have a favorite moment from the series?
Hmm. I mean, it's probably everyone's favorite moment, but I love in season 2 or book 2 with Iroh and his, saying happy birthday to his son and singing Leaves from the Vine.
Yeah.
It's I love that moment so much. I rewatch it all the time. Just a great moment for the character, and also saying goodbye to the voice actor when he passed away.
Yeah. Wow. Well, taking it up a beat. Another show, or the last show that we're going to talk about, is Jellystone. So I
Right,
had to go and I was like, what is Jellystone? And I watched it and I was like, okay, like I have mixed feelings. I watched 2 episodes, and each episode really has 2 episodes within it. So it's almost like watching 4 shorts. So I
right.
like that. And so for listeners, Jellystone basically is like taking all the Hanna-Barbera characters, bringing them into like the whatever century this is. I don't know the number anymore.
I don't either.
And it's like they have their own like adventures and stories and whatever. Yogi Bear is like a doctor or a surgeon, and like,
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, Boo Boo's like his right hand, and then there's this girl bear that I don't remember.
She's like
I
from
saw
the '60s or something.
Okay, I saw Jabberjaw in one of the things, but it almost sounded like it was voiced by a woman. So I was like, is that different,
It,
Jabberjaw?
no, yeah, she's voiced by a woman now.
Oh, okay.
Which I think she was gonna be like in another, like they made that Scooby Doo movie like last
Mm.
year or 2 years ago, and she was gonna be in there too as a woman, but they cut her out,
Oh,
so
interesting.
they
So
just
yeah, so
reused
I
her
think
here.
it's a good like variety show, but I
hmm
want to hear from you. Why do you enjoy it?
Um, I didn't think I would, to be honest. I had friends that worked on it, and so I wanted to check it out when it dropped on HBO Max. I was never really a Hanna Barbera guy.
Okay.
I know Yogi Bear. I know Huckleberry Hound, but I never really watched them growing up. But I checked it out and I was like, it is so chaotic, insane.
So chaotic. That's the perfect word.
Yeah, like it goes dark with its humor sometimes, and I'm like fully there for it. It's so funny. It's made by C.H. Greenblatt, who did Chowder and Harvey Beaks.
That makes sense. I love Chowder, and Chowder
Yeah,
is chaotic.
yeah, he brings it all here. Honestly, I don't even think the show needs to be about Hanna-Barbera characters. Like, there wasn't really a moment where I was like, oh, that needed to be Yogi Bear because he's like a doctor. I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I don't care. It's funny as hell. I can't wait for season 2. It's just really good at just not caring about being serious. It's just in your face, really well written jokes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that one, because that was nice and refreshing for me. And I'm sure if anyone wants to check it out, I don't think you would hate it. I don't think
Yeah,
you would feel like you wasted your life. You probably would be like, well, that reminds me of what I watched when I was a kid,
yeah,
and I'm going to move on. But I didn't feel bad about it at all.
yeah. It's a newer show. I think it deserves some attention. You give it a shot if you are curious. If it's not for you, well, it's only 11 minutes long. So
Right, exactly.
there you go.
Exactly. So, moving into some, it's after the fact, but icebreaker-esque type questions.
Sure.
Which animated character would you say you're most like?
I was thinking about this one for a while when you sent it to me, and I was like, oh, who would I be like? I don't know. And so I just kind of gravitated towards Bob. From maybe because I hear him and I see him all day, every day.
Yeah.
But he just kind of goes with things. He just goes with the flow and is very all right.
Yeah.
About things, and that's me. That's what I do. I just kind of go with the flow and I make my voice heard, but I'm very chill. I'm very low key.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Every time I'm watching new episodes that we're doing, he's the character I'm just I relate with you the most because I wouldn't want to put up with any of this.
I relate probably with Tina the most. That's just, it is what it is. I would like to go with the flow, but I'm definitely going to be okay, so where's this flow going? Actually.
True. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some Tina in me too.
Yeah.
I'm always anxious too on the inside. I'm always thinking a bit like her. On the outside, I'm Bob. On the inside, I'm Tina.
Okay. So using animated characters, let's cast your biopic. So do you still want to leave you as Bob?
I was thinking about this one too. And I was when would this take place? I was kind of I picked middle high school.
Okay.
So I naturally went with Wirt from Over the Garden Wall for me.
Mm-hmm.
Very awkward kid. Very overthinking everything. That would have definitely been me. I would hope to be voiced by Elijah Wood too. That'd be pretty cool. And for my two best friends, I cast my real life best friends are very similar to Ron Stoppable from Kim Possible, and Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're both nerds, and I love them.
I'm trying to imagine those two being together, and I'm poor person who's their friend. You have both of them.
I mean, I wasn't much better. we were all just nerds, but we love each other. It was a good time. We just all collectively had one brain cell.
Yeah, that's so funny. No one has mentioned Ron Stoppable before. So
he just I thought of my best friend and he immediately came to mind. Maybe because we kind of look similar, but I don't know.
Yeah. So the last question would be if you were stuck on a desert island, what two characters would you prefer to have with you?
I went through a lot of other characters for this, but I settled eventually on the Baron, who is the cat with the top hat from Cat Returns.
Oh, okay.
Just because I feel he would know what to do. He would keep a cool head about this and just be. He would do a lot of the work of getting us out of there.
Okay.
And for the other person, I juggled between Krunk from Emperor's New Groove, or Megamind from Megamind.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know which one to go with. Just Krunk would be really good for just emotional support. He's just fun to be around. But Megamind would also he would get us out of there like in a second.
This is dope. So, this is my first time asking this question. I was like, I want something new for like,
oh yeah,
I think this is season 4. So I think I'm going to have a lot of fun asking people this question.
Yeah, there's so many different answers you can get. Like, I mean, you could go for like the someone to hang out with like answer, or the who's going to get me out of here like immediately.
Yeah.
I went with the latter.
So you also mentioned in your tweet that you wanted to talk about, was it the Muppets?
Oh yeah, I didn't think I'd get this far.
Yeah, this is the soapbox. Is there something in particular, like Muppets versus Muppet Babies? Any reboots? Like,
I was just like throwing stuff out there. To be honest, I didn't think I would get this far, so I just like the Muppets. I think they're cool. I grew up with them.
Have you seen the Jim Henson exhibit in New York?
No, I haven't, and I really want to.
You should. You should.
What's really cool is University of Maryland. It's where my grandparents went, and my grandma was actually in Jim Henson's graduating class.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, she knew him. And what's funny is her roommate was Jim Henson's assistant, and he was going to do like for his senior project, like a really elaborate puppet show. And my grandma's roommate asked her like, you want to go see like the show with me? And she was like, nah.
So I don't want to see those puppets.
Yeah, and now she was like kicking herself years later for that. But after the show, Jim Henson told my grandma's roommate, like, I'm thinking of starting a business after college. Would you want to be in on it? And she was like, no, I don't really think there's a future in puppets.
Oh.
And then she was kicking herself for years after that. So,
yeah.
Damn. It's really interesting. There's like a really nice statue of Jim Henson at the college now with Kermit.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I might have to make my way to there. Yeah. But yeah, you should definitely check out the exhibit if you could figure out a way next time you're on the East Coast to make it happen. I think I've seen it. It's a permanent exhibit too.
Oh, cool.
Or semi-permanent at least. So I've visited at least 2 to 3 times already. COVID has impacted some of the interactive things.
Yeah.
But I think you would absolutely love it. You would take all the videos, the pictures, the selfies. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. They had, hopefully it could come back later this year, like a puppet station. So you have the one hand with the stick and your hands in the puppet and you're doing the voice over thing for it. It was really fun.
That'd be amazing. I would love to do that. Yeah. I can see why they took that one away for COVID though.
Yeah, exactly. It's not very sanitary.
Lots of people's hands in there.
Yeah, don't remind me because like I had a great time, but I was definitely like, this is so gross. I just want to go to wash my hands.
Yeah, they should like provide like a glove or something.
Yeah, but this is winding down to the end of our time. I know it went by very fast. Yeah, but I mean, great. Do you have any last words, parting words you want to share? Just no pressure.
Let's see. I guess I'm not really sure, man. Check me out on Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's the next thing. Just if people want to find you and connect with you, learn more about you and what you're doing, your social media plugs, websites. Just what's the best way?
Sure, yeah. You can reach me on Twitter at Acuna Matata. I'm proud of that one. And, if you ever have interest or questions in animation production or writing, I'm always happy to answer things as best I can. I'm not an expert on either, but, I'm always happy to help out. I'm making a project called The Garden Age about bugs, trying to stop a lawnmower from destroying their world. I have a Twitter for that too. So if you're ever interested in checking it out, we have an animatic, voice acting. It's a good time. Check it out if you want.
Cool.
Yeah.
Congrats to you.
Thank you.
Didn't I tell you that this was going to be a good episode? I didn't tell you that, but wasn't it? Like we talked about the Cat Returns, Ratatouille, Steven Universe, Yellystone, Avatar: The Last Airbender. What more could you ask for? So again, well, I didn't say this actually either. My name is Monique. I am the host of Simplyrobotix, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simplyrobotix, the website simplyrobotix.com. Use the hashtag Simplyrobotixpod to join in the conversation. And I will see you next time.